This is Cult Film Face Off.
Hello and welcome to Cult Film Face Off, episode 32. Cult Film Face Off is a podcast where we sometimes look at closely related, sometimes vaguely related films and pair them off against each other. This week we're taking a look at two movies that feature ex-NFL players as their respective leads. First up, and biting the gum shield hard, is Destroyer, also known as Shadow of Death from 1988. Ivan Moser, a convicted serial killer, is executed by electric chair. 18 months later, a film crew used the same prison to shoot their new film, when suddenly the crew start dropping like flies due to a certain someone being back on the wings. Destroyer.
The electric chair. To an ordinary man, it's the end. But when serial killer Ivan Moser sat down, he was just getting warmed up.
So what you're telling me is that Moser's still alive? I'm telling you, Ivan Moser is half alive.
Now he's half the man and twice the animal. Unstoppable, unbelievable, indestructible.
Maybe he's like that guy in the Halloweens who keeps getting killed, so he doesn't know if he's dead or just dreaming.
Where is everybody?
Everyone thought he'd just die, but no one ever dreamed he'd become Destroyer, the perfect killing machine.
So, Destroyer, you seen it yet?
No, I had never seen this. The first time I'd ever heard of it in my life was probably about a year ago when you sent me a still of the front cover. It's just a joke.
I just used to have that sort of pinned up in my room when I was at university.
No, but I think you sent it way before we started doing this.
I think it's years ago. I stumbled upon that picture,
and I saw that, and I thought, I kind of want to see that because it looks so fucking awful. It's Lyle Alzado just with a like a pneumatic drill. I mean, it looks terrible.
Just oiled up, greased, big juice head holding a pneumatic drill.
Yeah,
with a great tagline.
What was the tagline again?
30,000 watts didn't kill him. They just
gave him a buzz.
Just gave him a buzz.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. So you hadn't seen it before?
Never done that.
What do you think about it?
It's a difficult one. I liked it way more than I thought I was going to. It starts like in quite a mean and moody way. The scene in the prison is quite unsettling.
I think the opening 10 minutes is probably the best thing about it.
Oh really? Okay. Did you? The first thing in the first scene you see scissors cutting trousers. Did you understand what that was about? Because I thought, why has he got scissors in his cell and why is he cutting?
It doesn't really explain that.
I googled it. When you're going to the electric chair,
your limbs swell up.
Your right calf has to have an electrode put to it, so that's why.
Okay, so that's a nice bit of verisimilitude in the film.
It's quite an interesting. There is actually a weird sort of attention to detail in this film, which I wasn't expecting at all. Well, I mean, you'd not seen this before either, had you?
No, I hadn't seen it before. I mean, I'm kind of a sucker for like films set in prisons. I kind of quite like films set in prisons, and I mean, the opening sequence is quite interestingly constructed. It's quite unnerving,
yeah, really.
Especially with him watching the television show, and it alludes later that actually the woman who's in that show is one of his murder victims.
Yeah.
It was very atmospheric and really moody and really well done, that opening 10 minutes, and then we kind of go into a film within a film, with Anthony Perkins as the director of Death House Dolls. Now, Death House Dolls sounds like a title you'd find wedged up a 40 chimney on VHS.
It certainly does. I mean, I haven't watched whatever that film was, but I don't even... What was it called? Bad Girls Dormitory it was called. So if anyone's listening to this doesn't know what I'm talking about, in my flat I found the VHS tape stuffed up into a faulty fireplace, and when I took it out it had time codes of where the nudity was, which I put on Twitter and went down amazingly well. But yeah, that's definitely the kind of film that's been made.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing about Destroyer is you have to wait a long time for Lyle Alzado to actually turn up. I think it's a good 45 minutes until he starts showing his face.
Yeah, he's barely in it. I mean, he must have shot his stuff probably over a couple of days. He's barely in the film.
I mean, I like his performance because I don't think anyone's told him that he's in a straight up horror film.
What do you think?
Well, I think he's kind of. He's quite comedic. Yeah. His performance is like very funny.
It's so. I mean, he's renowned for being. He was using steroids for most of his life, and that's eventually what killed him.
I heard that he got some sort of form of brain cancer, which he very firmly believed it was due to his steroid use. I mean, it's quite interesting having, ultimately it's a slasher film, but having a guy that genuinely destroys people as opposed to just sort of, to being a guy walking around with no dialogue, slashing and stalking and slashing. So I think that's quite interesting, and he has got a certain amount of charisma.
Yeah.
I mean, a pneumatic drill has never been so overtly phallic. The scene where it's definitely the best kill. He's pneumatic drilling a guy in the stomach, then the old prison guard who's still at the prison, he just touching.
Oh yeah, he was on the other side. That was really funny. That is a very funny moment, actually. That bit.
They also had something in it which is a little kind of trope of slasher film. It had the old reveal of all the previous victims, which kind of happens in loads of horror films. I think one of the best examples of that was in Sleepaway Camp 2, which is just when it just goes through all of the previous victims stacked up in a room with all the audacious kills kind of core. Yeah. I always like one of those shots. This was a Silver Raven winner at the Brussels International Festival of Fantasy.
What's a Silver Raven?
I've never heard of it. It's obviously an Edgar Allan Poe reference.
Does that festival even exist anymore?
I've got no idea.
I've never heard of it.
No, I've never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Well, at least it won something. What did you think of the lead? Clayton Rona, his name is.
Oh, not a lot.
I thought he was okay, but I swear to God, I would not be surprised if he got told that he was actually supposed to be one of David Spade's skateboard gang in Police Academy 4. And he thought he was doing that film for the majority of the shoot, because that's the performance he gives. It's one of those weird films where they just stick a goofball in the middle and expect it to just sort of make sense. But he's playing it like he's one of those sort of characters. He looks exactly. I thought I had a fiver in my wallet. I don't know. I was going to put a fiver out and I was going to lay it on the table. I was going to say, if you can name the two actors that he is the exact cross of, you can have the fiver.
Okay. Bill Paxton.
Yes. Well done. Who was the other one? He's the exact combination.
It was annoying me because when I was watching this, I was like, he really reminds me of two actors. Bill Paxton's one of them immediately.
Definitely.
And I was stuck on the second one. I'm going to kick myself when you tell me who it is. Is it someone who's been in horror films?
Not really, no.
Is he TV or film?
Film.
Go on.
Jason Patrick. Yeah. I mean, there are so many shots where it's like, he looks like Bill Paxton and Jason Patrick at the same time. It's quite uncanny. I don't think he's bad, but he is in the wrong film. I mean, this idea that you have to put some likeable goofball at the centre of it, and he's meant to be a fucking.
I mean, what is a pity in this is that Ivan Moser doesn't get any backstory. I mean, he gets no backstory, and to kind of really for your baddie, for your kind of your evil villain to have real heft, you need to know how fucked up he is. And he had 28 kills or 30 kills he's mounted up.
Yeah.
But you don't get any idea of why, who, apart from the chick who was presenting the game show at the beginning of the film.
Did you think that the pneumatic drill kill was the highlight?
Oh, in terms of kills?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really thought it was horrendous.
The fire, the guy gets set on fire,
the flamethrower in the toilet, that was horrific. Like, I thought that. I mean, even though it was kind of hamstrung by the budget limitations, because I believe there was a shot where a guy who had like charcoal on his face and there was flame at the front of the camera. So it was cheap, but I thought it was fucking nasty. Weld someone into a metal canister and torch
horrible.
I thought the rest of the kills were pretty fucking lame. I mean, there's a hanging, there's a death by photocopy that happens off screen.
Lame.
There's not a lot of fucking great moments of gore here, so I thought that was kind of the highlight. The fact that, because it was really like, oh, that's fucking horrific. But
I mean, this is a prime piece of forgettable 80s slasher slop.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. There's things to like about it. I mean, I thought that. I was quite interested in what I was saying before about there being a weird. I think the film set stuff is sort of vaguely. They're trying to make it vaguely convincing. It's not like most sort of horror films would just be slapdash, like action cut and all that stuff. But there was all this sort of stuff about maintaining continuity and whatnot. I thought, this is reasonably interesting. Anthony Perkins was pretty good, I thought. Andy Perkins is always good. Yeah, always solid. Yeah. Even when, in the Psycho sequels, he's always very good. Yeah. Cecil B. fucking Melkant. He brings an element of class to it. But I also thought the actress who played. Her surname was Fox, I think. The central actress in this film was meant to be a bad actress. I thought she was really good. She's only got 3 IMDb credits. I think her name's Lani Garrett. Mm-hmm. But one of the hardest things to do is for an actor to portray a bad actor. Mm. And there were so many bits where I thought she's definitely playing two parts. She does the bad acting really well, and she plays the actress really well. And there's one scene, there's an execution scene where she's in the electric chair, and she has to go from acting like, oh, I'm being electrocuted, to actually being electrocuted. And I thought, whoa, she fucking really pulled that off.
Yeah, she
really
pulled that off. Yeah, I agree. It's got one of the best song titles I've ever seen in a film.
What's that?
Kiss My Stinky White Ass.
Does that play during the film?
Yeah, it comes up in the credits. There's only I think there's 2 or 3 tracks maximum lit build. That's one of them. Shit lookalikes?
Shit lookalikes. I don't think I spotted any really, to be honest.
Well, I was shocked that Play School presenter / Jackanory stalwart Brian Cant was there. He was on screen quite regularly as the prison warden who stayed at the prison.
Oh, my memory of that guy is too sketchy.
When we cut the video, Brian Cant, I mean, it's his twin.
Okay, yeah, I'll splice those together.
He's also responsible for a line that made me laugh. It reminded me of when we were talking about when we were talking about Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
And you said a sequence with a guy recognising his friend through I think a skull.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Well, the same thing happens in Destroyer when Brian Cant sees the sheriff who's been completely burned to pieces. He recognises it. His head bobs up from the sewers. And he got your sheriff. How the hell do you recognise him? I mean, the director of this, Robert Kurtz. I mean, he didn't do any films after this. He was primarily producing World War II documentaries.
Yeah.
And 11 episodes of Dogfights, which is recreating great naval and aerial battles of the past using modern CPU animation.
Well, I bet that's a thing to see for sure. No, he did. I mean, I saw. Yeah, he's done some really not interesting is the wrong word, but like sort of documentary stuff. Some of it's slightly sleazy, like true crime stuff, but yeah, a lot of historical documentaries, which is I wonder if he did not enjoy his experience on this film that he had to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Well, it's interesting. There was, I mean, I think you got more enjoyment out of it than I did.
Yeah, I quite liked it. It's. I think it's because I think some of the supporting players are actually really decent. Particularly whenever it cut back to... I mean, the lead guy, I don't think he's bad. He's in the wrong film. And there isn't any suspense in the film. And it does just become this fucking...
I mean, there's not kills to go back to.
No,
there's slight flickering moments of Lyle Alzado really hamming it up. But you could probably condense that into about probably a 30-second...
Yeah, he's not in it for long.
He's not in it enough.
No, he's not.
Which is a crying shame, because he's the best thing about it. I quite like the guy who... he's a good character. He's working at the local diner and he flipped the switch.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
He's pretty odd.
That scene in the diner has one of my favourite reaction shots. It's like the one that I found in Thrashing, yeah. When they're talking to the guy in the diner about some of the horror films that this actress had been in. He's naming titles and he goes, "Oh, The 30-Foot Bride of Satan," and it cuts to this old woman. She goes, "Oh, yes, Satan." Yeah, and then it cuts away. I mean, the thing that I liked about this is that I love it when you don't really know what's going on, as in you don't know whether it's aware of itself. You don't know why, like, the weird sort of attention to detail in some areas and then the complete disregard for it in others.
It was very uneven.
Yeah, I mean, it is uneven, but fascinatingly so, I thought, and I did enjoy it. I mean, when they're filming one of the execution scenes, the writer and his girlfriend are standing beside him. She goes, "Oh, did you write this? Oh, it's good stuff," or something like that. And I thought, is she taking the piss out of him? Because there's no dialogue, it's just someone being electrocuted. She's like, "This is great stuff. Did you write this?" And I was like, is this film taking the piss out of itself? Yeah. I don't know where I stand with this film. That made me a little bit more interested in it, I suppose. But I do think there's not enough action in this film. But this fills those gaps way better than a lot of films that are at this sort of level. It does descend into barely coherent fucking nonsense in the last half an hour, but I was engaged with it. Like, I was interested.
For me, it had a great opening 10 minutes. And it was peppered with moments, with not enough moments with Lyle Alzado. It's as I said before. I said it's a prime piece of forgettable 80s slasher, and the only thing that elevates it is I really like the use of having a character who is this big, hulking, genuinely scary dude killing people with a pneumatic drill.
I think that pneumatic drill scene was only in there so that they could put a picture on the poster.
Yeah. I mean, it's odd as well. Some of the artwork has him with this kind of skeletal mask on, which he never wears. And I do like the bit they try to, I do like the little kind of, the little motif at the end of oh, it was a dream. Oh, it was a dream again. Where they always went to town on that makeup for his face.
That's right.
Just for using a 3-second clip, which I kind of like the fact they went to town just to get that little.
That's why I find it strangely compelling, because there's so much effort put over here but none over here, and it's this mishmash of.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's like there's a really good film fighting to get out of this cheap shit.
I think this is it. You know, it's not. Unfortunately, it's just not as good as the sum of its parts. There are some good things in there. I don't know, but with more budget, a bit more time, maybe something could have.
All I know is that films
transpired differently.
Films like this so often just I fight to try and pay attention to them, and you just can't. And I was pretty much watching it until it kind of just goes into fucking boring shithouse territory when they get into the basement in the last half an hour or so. But until then, I was like, this is actually, as far as these films go, and I'm talking about bottom rung fucking horror films. I mean, I'm talking about real ultra cheapies. This is way better than a lot of the ones I've seen. So I suppose I was expecting the worst, and I thought it was pretty good. It's quite appropriate we're talking about this because Lyle Alzado. Do you know much about him?
I read, I did a bit of background reading on him to see how much of an accomplished player he was, and he was extremely accomplished. I mean, he was in LA Raiders. Hyper-violent, like throwing his helmet at other people.
He was like there's an interview with him. I found an interview with him on like some sports network, and it's from when he was at his prime. And he was like, I'm so glad that this sport exists because otherwise I'd be in jail for life. He's just like, he clearly wanted to rip people's heads off. That guy's going to, I mean, just from what I've read about him, Lyle Alzado, there will be a biopic about him at some point in the next 10 years, blatantly, because his story is quite fucking insane. Yeah. But yeah, I liked this film. I thought it was alright. I was surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it has its moments, but it does certainly get into an autopilot the last kind of third as well. And I was just kind of going... tapping my fingers a bit. So not all bad. I mean, it's worth checking. I wouldn't, it's if you're into slash films, you're into horror films, it's worth sticking on with a few bits.
Yeah, I'd say that as well. I mean, I'd definitely say that. It's way more interesting than I expected.
All right, on to the next.
Yep.
Right, so up next from 1991, a tough, rule-breaking Alabama cop goes undercover to infiltrate a ruthless biker gang with ties to the mob. Stone Cold.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Bosworth.
You know, all my life people have had the wrong idea about me.
I don't like cops who make up the rules as they go.
They say I push things just a little too far. They accuse me of being insensitive. They basically say that I lack the ability to get along with others. So just to prove these people wrong, I decided to join a very exclusive and private club. Oh yes, it's very plush. And the membership, very select. And games, we play some games. A perfect place for me, wouldn't you think?
You just picked up the wrong passenger, buddy!
Mr. Brian Bosworth requests the pleasure of your company. Stone Cold.
Stone Cold. Craig R. Baxley, you've seen it. We talked about it on the Dark Angel podcast.
Briefly mentioned it.
Yeah. So, what's your relationship with it?
I think I recorded a movie on Sky Movies when I would have been about 12 or so, and I just left the recording running, and Stone Cold was on it. I had no real interest in seeing it. I didn't really... It kind of sort of flew under my radar, and I saw it and I thought, whoa, this is actually a fucking great film. It's nowhere near as good as I remember it. I know that for damn certain. You hadn't seen it before, had you?
I'd never seen it before, and I've never, as when you mentioned it to me, I hadn't heard it, but then when I looked at the poster artwork, I've seen the poster. Yeah, I was really pumped. I'm a huge fan of Lance Henriksen. I like cops going undercover in prisons, gangs, whatever. Yeah. And from the opening sequence, which starts off with the old 80s action movie motif of robbery store gone bad. Yeah. I was all over it like a tramp on chips. Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I think Bosworth, is absolutely fine in this. I mean, he earned like a Razzie nomination for his performance as Joe Huff, and I think that's really undeserved.
Do you really?
I think it's really. It's the guy's first role. He's an ex-sports star. I think it is completely in tone with the film.
I think if the script had been better, then he could have had a career based off it that could have been quite good. But I'm pretty sure for most of this film, he could have replaced himself with a cardboard cutout of himself and nobody would have noticed. I think he's so fucking bland in this film. I'm not surprised. I mean, that the Razzie nomination is completely on the ball. I mean,
but I think it's completely in tone with the film. I mean, this film is an action movie boiled down to its simplest primeval form. It's dumb as hell, tons of big explosions, fireballs, completely unnecessary TNA, and really clearly defined heroes and villains. It's real basic. I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad to hear that, because I remember thinking the world of it when I was a kid. I was like, wow, I was so surprised that a movie that good I wasn't wholly aware of. But yeah, so I suppose I was kind of expecting the most, and I felt a little bit let down by it. It's interesting how much it resembles Craig R. Baxley's previous film, Dark Angel, because it's set in, I think he's Alabama, it's set in Mississippi. And it's Texas in Dark Angel. It's just nice.
But it's quite nice to have an unconventional setting again.
Yeah, right. Because so many of those films are set in Los Angeles, exactly. There's the fucking sidekick, the schmuck, as Bosworth calls him. Yeah. Although this guy, he's just a germaphobe who appears like 3 times. It's not quite Brian Benben's character. There's a cameo from the Dark Angel gun. I swear to God, William Forsythe at the beginning. The gun that he's got, it's like a machine pistol. It looks like exactly like the Dark Angel gun.
Let's look at that again.
There's strip clubs. There's the supermarket robbery. I mean, the beginning of fucking Dark Angel. That's a liquor store, but it's the same difference. The two main, the White Boys gang from those two guys are in it.
Yeah, they're in it. Yeah. No, so as the mafia.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's bits of there's one piece of music that they use repeatedly throughout Stone Cold, and I was just like, that sounds exactly like the score from Dark Angel. It isn't. Yeah. I don't think it is. But it sounds amazingly similar to that. So there's loads of. I just kind of wish Dolph Lundgren was in it as well, because I think that would have.
What, replaced Ben with Dolph Lundgren?
Bosworth. Yeah, I thought Brian Bosworth was pretty goddamn wooden, but
I didn't mind him being so wooden. I looked at him, and funny enough, his face is like a perfect amalgamation of Dolph Lundgren and Patrick Swayze. That's his face.
You reckon?
100%. I dug the fuck out of this movie. I mean, it's the perfect balance between excess and absurdity. Yeah. I mean, I just was really caught up with the ride. I really enjoyed it. But a special mention has to go out to Brian Bosworth's co-star. I mean, this character should have got a spin-off series of films. I mean, he elevates every scene Bosworth is in. And of course, I'm talking about his mullet. I mean, that is
a hell of
the most
mullet,
impressive mullet ever committed to celluloid. It's basically like a fucking bleached blonde beaver pelt.
Do you reckon Bosworth clothed himself, like chose his wardrobe?
I hope so.
Because
he wears some shock. His pants that he rocks around his apartment a pure fucking what are those old strippers that team of strippers called in
Chippendales.
It's fucking pure Chippendales.
Yeah, in the opening I was like, what the fuck is that coat? It looks like something out of Flash Gordon. I was like, he must have picked that himself. There's no costume designer that would have put him in there. And then next he's wearing this weird sort of pajamas outfit or something when he's at his home feet. I was like, I looked up the costume designer, and I was expecting to see something like Flash Gordon on there, but it's all very straight down the line, stuff, no fantasy. So I'm just like, I wonder if Bosworth was just like, hey, I'm wearing.
I really like to think that he picked his own wardrobe.
Me too.
I mean, I love the fact that he got chosen by his superiors in the police force because they needed an officer that logged more bike-related arrests than anyone else on the force. I love that.
There's certainly logic there.
And Lance Henriksen is great. And Lance Henriksen, I don't know if you know this, Lance Henriksen, he wrote all of the dialogue for his character.
I read that, but it's one of those things that's not been verified anyway, so I don't know how true it is.
Okay.
I don't know how true, because I think it's his stuff. I mean, he has that one liner. My father's last words to me: "Don't do that. That's loaded, son," or whatever. I thought that was quite nice.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's out of whack with the rest of the movie. That's one of those things that hyper fans put out to the internet and they kind of get lost.
Okay, well, I'd love to know if anybody listening knows, or
if that's been verified.
If that's the case. I just love, Lance Henriksen was really interesting as a character because when he starts off, the first kind of few exchanges of dialogue that he has with Joe Huff. He's quite friendly, and you kind of get lulled into a sense of going, oh, do you know what? He's probably this Chains guy isn't probably too much of a badass. And actually, later on, I mean, he's absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert, you know, he kills Nancy stone cold dead.
Yeah.
He gets one of the guys to stick his hand into a fast-moving motorbike spokes. I mean, he's a fucking, you know, he's a dark...
I love it when everything goes to pot at the end. He just gets on the mic and goes, everyone for himself. What's a gun? What's an absolute bastard? Yeah.
I love him dressing up as a preacher at the end and gunning down a courthouse. I mean, fuck, that's great. I was kind of looking at the front cover of this, you know, and having had a vague recollection of the front cover going, oh, this is going to be terrible. And I was so pleasantly surprised. I fucking really enjoyed the hell out of this film.
I'm glad to hear it because I was expecting too much, I think, and going back I was like, because one thing you have to say is this is a fucking dopey film. I mean, at one point, Bosworth has a conversation about his undercover situation when they're at a fucking wedding for the bikers, and like they're all around him. I was like, you shouldn't have that conversation there in the middle. And then he goes and meets his FBI partner like down the road, and this is one stupid. I mean, maybe the point is that Bosworth is a bit of a fucking idiot rather than the film. But I mean,
I think that sits in with the character, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
He's an idiot. I mean, you know, it's a make-believe drug. I mean, that's stupid. Why don't you do a proper drug?
Yeah,
I mean, it's all daft as hell. But I don't think that's to its detriment. And William Forsythe as Ice. I mean, William Forsythe is always fucking good, but especially good
when he's playing
the guy,
the psycho,
and playing the psycho, but playing the guy that has already got the measure of Bosworth, and those two kind of going up against each other. He's got a fantastic. Talk about this film being dumb. I love it when you first go to where the biker gangs are hanging out and the kind of stuff that they're doing. Like they're basically playing like a game of William Tell
with the machine
guns, headbutting each other. It's fucking fantastically stupid shit.
Yeah, Lance Henriksen is so good that he's not the natural fit for that role either. I mean, you'd hire somebody a bit more physically imposing, but you never doubt him for a second that he's this.
Yeah, it's a film peppered with turbo masculine moments. Whether it's guys shooting beer cans off their heads, William Tell style, or chucking a guy 6 feet in the air over a wall of sandbags, immediately followed by headbutting each other. I also love the completely gratuitous and unnecessary like naked girls just having a shower in the compound, and then there's a pool shot where they're playing pool, where she just goes whap, just whaps her boobs up. I mean, it's brilliant.
Some of the stunt work again from Craig Back to the helicopter fight, although it's sort of quite scarce the amount of actual sort of footage. When you see them fighting on the helicopter, whoa!
It's done really well. And having a motorbike, ploughing into a helicopter. I mean, fuck.
Yeah,
that's wicked. And I also like the sequence. I like how the shot's done towards the very end, where Lance Henriksen, Chain's character, bites the bullet, and it goes into his peripheral vision of being shot and then falling over. It's a wicked technique.
Yeah, he's underrated, old Baxley. Yeah, I mean, this is wholly unoriginal, but it's really not unenjoyable. I wouldn't give it the 4 stars that I would have done as a 12-year-old, but as sort of like dumb fuck entertainment, it's
up there with the best of them.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it so much because I kind of felt annoyed that I got sucked in and was just like, this is going to blow my mind like it did when I was a kid.
It's interesting when you come to a film, what sort of expectations you have of it, and if they go the other way, it magnifies your experience of it.
Yeah, that's what happened with both of these films, to be honest. I was expecting nothing from the other, got something. Was expecting too much from this, I think. It should have cost half what it did, though. I mean, when you consider that Dark Angel cost somewhere between $7 and $8 million, this cost like anywhere, 17 to 25 million, somewhere in that bracket. You do think, I don't quite understand why it cost that much money. There's stories about how the original director was fired and they reshot a load of stuff involving Bosworth and he had a family and stuff.
I heard about that.
Yeah, which sounds like it was. I mean, they made the right choice because if they filmed all of that, there's no reason for a load of sort of subplots about his family life.
I don't know the maintenance and the uptake of that.
The build his apartment, yeah.
What, his apartment?
Yeah,
his mullet.
I thought you were going to say he needs somebody there to look after his flat. And you were talking about his hair. Okay, that's a good point as well. I mean, they should have had a scene with the hairdresser. Show that being intended to. It is weird. The European sleeve is fucking odd. The way it makes it look like it's a cyborg movie.
It's really. Well, it just looks like it's like a Terminator knockoff.
Yeah, Terminator. Yeah, it's got Brian Bosworth's. Well, it's not even his face. It's something that looks like his face, and then a red eye.
Yeah,
Stone Cold.
It's
the amount of people that must have rented that thinking it was going to be like a sci-fi movie.
Or people renting it and years later and discovering that WWF star is not in it, and it immediately gets shelved again.
WWF.
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold, of course, yeah.
I'm very sad this film didn't get love when it came out. I just think it came out in the wrong fucking decade.
It probably did.
This is 1991. This came out. I mean, I think this movie would have flown if it was done in the mid 80s.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bosworth is a problem. I think you need to either be a decent or halfway decent actor, or you need to have charisma. I don't think Bosworth has either of those ticks. I honestly reckon if you replaced it with a mannequin of himself.
I know where you're coming from in terms of he can be a bit wooden, but I just think he fitted the role. I actually just fitted the role. He didn't really have a lot of kind of I think he had presence. I don't think he had charisma.
No.
I believe that he was a big hulking guy that could look after himself. I mean, I thought he's great in the bar fights that he has with his partner.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't. I wasn't looking at him going, I wanted more from him. I mean, he does look like a cross between Patrick Swayze and Dolph Lundgren. Would I prefer Dolph Lundgren? Hell yeah, I love Dolph Lundgren. But I mean, I think he's fine.
Yeah, I didn't. I think it was me just trying to pick it to pieces a little bit. I mean, it's a really dumbass film, but.
And he's a dumbass guy.
He is a fucking idiot as well. I mean,
but I think that's perfect. I really believed he was an idiot.
You're probably right. Did you know that Michael Douglas's production company produced this?
No.
Yeah, he bought like a slate of films, and this was one of them. And I've always wondered. I wonder what Michael Douglas thought of this movie. It doesn't strike me as the kind of thing Michael Douglas. I mean, in Europe, if you buy this movie in Europe, on the box it's got like Michael Douglas Presents. He wasn't hands-on, but his production company sort of I think they co-financed it or something. But I'd love to know if he's seen it, what he thinks. Yeah. Just out of interest. But yeah, it's. I mean.
Just that little thing is that preceding his brilliant one-liner about clean up on aisle 4 at the beginning of the first sequence, at 3 minutes 25, his boss lets out a perfect bark.
What?
He barks. He barks like a dog.
Joe, what the hell's going on? You're still on suspension. Let me see you sweet talk your way out of this one.
Huff.
What?
You've got 3 minutes 25.
Who's boss? Brian Bosworth.
Brian Bosworth's boss. He greets him by barking.
I'm gonna have to do this up now. So okay, is it just does a dog bark elsewhere when he's
you just watch it.
Okay.
Huff. We'll put it out in a video.
Okay, if you're watching this video, here's the bit we're talking about.
Huff. 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 Huff.
Okay.
Wicked. Yeah, look, I love this movie. It's fucking dumb and masculine as they come, but hugely entertaining, great stunt work. It rattles along at a really good pace. Great 80s big hair rock number for the opener. Great hair in terms of that pelt that he wears on his head. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I can wholeheartedly recommend it, even though it wasn't as mind-blowing as I felt it was when I was a kid. So, I mean, where are we going? Are we going Destroyer or Stone Cold?
All day long, Stone Cold's my new boy.
Okay, I agree with that, although I do think Destroyer... I will probably at some point watch Destroyer again, because I did think it was entertaining and interesting enough.
I'll definitely watch Stone Cold again. Right, that's brilliant. Right, thanks very much for listening. Look, we've had a really great response on the blog, so please keep your comments, your stories coming in about upcoming films. It really does help us out if you leave reviews on iTunes, subscribe to us on iTunes. Get your Facebook on, get your Twitter game raised, YouTube as well. All the episodes are cut to video. And we'll see you next time.
Take it easy.
God bless.